guys, welcome back to Medical Coding with Blue. Today's episode is all about, are you thinking of pursuing a medical billing and coding career in 2025 or 2026? Some things you should know. If you are brand new to my channel, welcome. I am Blue, I'm a medical coder. Okay guys, so first things first, I've been in this career field for 17 years. So I've seen a lot and I've experienced a lot along the way. I started this channel in 2018, so it's been a few years, and I've seen a lot of the things that are out there for these businesses that are selling the dream of being a medical coder. Sometimes they'll just dangle in front of people, oh, you can work at home, you can raise your kids at home, this is a fantastic job that you can do, you can travel with it, or you can make all of this money. So they're throwing out all of these things. And while some of it will eventually be true, as far as that you can work remotely and that you can have a good salary. Everybody knows medical coders make good money. If you don't agree, everybody's going to have a different opinion about what it constitutes good money. But we need to be realistic as well. And so a lot of times these schools will be like, oh, let's just tell them these really high figures. And on my channel, steadfastly, I have always said I will never discuss money in specifics on this channel, because here's the thing. We already know that medical coders get paid well. If you're not getting paid well, or if you see that the money is not good in your area or for where you're looking, that is because you're looking in the wrong place. People are going to try to pay less naturally, because what we have is a lot of skill. And so because we have this skill, they're going to try to get it for as cheap as possible. Now, that's not the case everywhere, okay? So again, if you're just going in it looking at the money immediately and not doing anything to prepare yourself for the industry, that's where the problems start. Because if you are going to get into this industry, to be successful, you have to have a lot of knowledge. Well, I don't want to put in that much effort if I'm not going to be able to find a job. You will be able to find a job if you are doing what you're supposed to be doing. Now, again, 17 years I've been in this career field. This channel has been here since 2018. I have given tons of advice about every single topic you could possibly think of, from how to learn medical coding on your own, to studying, to the resume part, to preparing for your exam, to interview tips, for advice for males that want to get into this and they're concerned because there's a lot of women. It's a women-dominated field, of course. But I think that it's fantastic when men try to get into this career field as well, because it gives us more diversity in the industry. And I think that that's great, because males bring a unique perspective to health information, just like females do. But because males are rare right now, because they're still coming into the career field, even though it's a little slow, because some men are just they don't want to be around this many women, and it's too difficult. And no, it's not too difficult, guys. We can all do this. We can all work together. And I think that it makes the industry a lot better when there's more of a balance. And I think of like nursing, right? How for the longest time it was all women who were nurses. And then as men started to join into the nursing field, there's greater diversity and the field has really grown. And I think that's the same thing for coding. So if you are a male and you're kind of like, I don't know, think about it, And so there will be other males there too. You may be the only one for a little bit, but it's not forever. And as people get into this career field and as they advance themselves, trust me, it gets a lot better. But if you want to pursue this career field, you have to have the mindset of, what can I do? And so what you're bringing into this career field is, of course, all of your transferable skill that you've had from another industry. A lot of people don't even come in from the medical field. I did not. I was so far away from the medical field when I got into this, because I didn't even know medical coders existed. But I got into this career field with no medical background, and I have never spoken to a patient. I've never done any of those things. I've always only done the coding. So it's possible to go in and be a coder and do really well for yourself and do really well in your career, but it's all in your own mindset and what you're looking at long term. I've had people who complain who say, well, I didn't get a raise. You're working in the wrong place. The great thing about medical coders is that we are in demand. I had a fellow who wrote me who said, well, I heard that there's a problem with medical coders, and that the industry is too saturated, and that it's going away, and that AI is taking over, and that the work is being sent overseas. Well, I've already answered that several times on my channel about work being sent overseas. When you couple looking at medical documentation that has advanced medical terminology, and this is in English, written in English, and you send it overseas to people who English is a second language to them, English is not their first language, there's already that barrier there. And while the person may be good and fluent enough in English, reading it is something different. And not all doctors document the same way either, okay? And so I have personally witnessed work that was sent overseas that had to come back to be corrected, because all of a sudden there was all these denials because the wrong codes were being selected, because it was somebody who was overseas who was reading it, selecting the wrong code because they got confused with the terminology, and then the claims were getting denied. So when you have claims being denied, now money's not coming in. Now we got to scramble, and now we got to pay more money for English speakers, native English speakers, to translate this documentation in order to get it paid. And so a lot of times the work will come right back. So people learn their lesson is that, yes, well, it's cheaper, right, to send it overseas. It's really not, because you end up having to get those errors corrected. Now, if you get your feelings hurt because I just said this, and you say, well, no, Blue, that's not the case at my place, and, we're over here and blah, 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 there's nothing I can do for you. You know what I mean? Like, you're going to have your own opinion, but I'm just telling you what I have experienced and what I've gone through and what I've seen in the industry, again, at 17 years. So really no one can say anything to me because I've already been through it and I've already seen it. So it gets more expensive when you have to send work out for a cheaper labor cost, and then you have to bring it back, and now you got to pay somebody double time to hurry up and get these claims corrected so that they can be sent in and paid. And then not only that, everybody talks about AI. Oh, AI. AI does not have the ability to critical think. It is dumb. Anybody who's critically looking at it understands that. But there's a lot of people out there that everything is just so quick, or they're listening to TikTok or whatever. I don't personally believe in TikTok, because what happens with TikTok is, it's not just so innocent that these are like little 10-second, 15-second clips. It's not so innocent, because what happens when you do this, when you're looking at these little clips, you got to be real careful, because when you're watching these clips, what's happening is your brain is getting that instant hit of dopamine, because it's seeing the final result instantly. And so your brain is like, okay, and then it keeps hitting on this dopamine, and like, oh, okay, well, and then your attention span starts to get shorter and shorter. Well, what happens when your attention span gets shorter and shorter is that you're more willing to listen to things that are put in front of you without critical thinking. And see, that's why, again, I will never be on TikTok. Never. Because of that specific reason. Because I'm protecting my attention span. Because I need a beginning, a middle, and an end. So that's exactly the way that you need to be if you want to really succeed in this field. Oh, no, I use TikTok for this and that. Okay, again, my message is not going to be for everybody. And there are going to be some people who don't understand my passion. They're going to mistake this for anger, which is really stupid. And yeah, I will say that it is stupid, because it is, because you don't know me. And then if you make assumptions about people and the way that they're responding and their way that they are trying to get this message across, I believe that a lot of times people are not seeing certain things as an emergency when they should be seeing it as an emergency. Like, if your attention span is getting down to next to nothing and you can't concentrate on anything, that is an emergency. So we have ways of working with this, and medical coding takes endurance. This is not a quick sprint to learn. It is going to take time. I have 17 years and I'm still learning. I always tell people all the time it would have been easier if I would have just went to medical school at this point. Because you have to learn all about these things. But again, these are things that you're going to learn with time. Everybody gets better with time. And there's not one person that if they're not really into it, well, okay, I take that back. There's not one person who will be in this career field and not learn if they're not like wanting to put in the extra effort to learn. You will learn, okay? And it may feel like, oh my gosh, there's so much. It is a lot, but it's also fun because medical coding is like a puzzle. And what you're doing is you're looking at this documentation and you're abstracting or you're pulling out these codes, right, based on what you see. And sometimes the codes are already selected because the electronic health record is going through there with the computer assisted coding and it's highlighting words. And so it's already selecting these codes. And what happens is a lot of these codes, they're not right, or they're in the incorrect order, or there's a myriad of things that could happen. Sometimes the provider will write the word fall, and because the electronic health record is programmed to look for these words, it's going to see fall and think immediately injury. So it's looking for an injury. Meanwhile, the provider is referring to the season. Again, another thing that I have personally witnessed. So this is something that, again, it takes critical thinkers to do this. So if you think critically, you can do this. This is, again, people will say, well, they'll be self-deprecating and they'll say, well, I'm just not really good at reading. This is something you're going to have to read. You have to read in this career field. If you don't like to read, trust me, then you don't want to pursue this, because you have to read. You have to critically think, well, my comprehension is not so good. I don't know how people can say that, because there's plenty of people who have lots of learning disabilities who are still successful in this career field because they know how to work with their condition so that they can be successful. Sometimes it's just a different way of looking at the documentation so that they can find what they need and be able to focus on what it is that they're doing. Lots of people have learned to use their own supposed, or where people will say, well, that's a disability. They've been able to use it as their own superpower. So if that's you and that's what you want to do, I would never tell somebody that, oh, no, you cannot, if this is truly what they want to do. But again, if you are wanting to get into this, just know that it is going to take you to do a lot of reading, especially in the beginning, because you're going to have to learn all about the body, the bones, the muscles, the tendons, the organs, their functions, all the things about the body, the cells, the blood, all this thing, everything. You got to learn all of this stuff. So there's lots of things that you're going to learn with time. Disease process, pathophysiology, all of these things. But again, it's not something that you're going to be expected to know overnight. You just need to get a basic understanding of all of these things, and then you'll be able to grow with time. But again, it's going to be about putting in the time to study. So if you are wanting to pursue this, you need to have at least 9 months, 12 months, or 18 months that you can devote to learning. Because even though you may have been sold a program, 4 months or 6 months, they're not preparing you for coding. They're preparing you for like billing. And maybe it's like a memorization test, because there is a certificate that I will not name, because to me, it's worthless and no employer asks for it. And there will be people who will write me and they'll cry and say, oh no, you don't know what you're talking about. I do know. And I don't want y'all to be set up for failure. But there are 4 certifications that employers look for. The CCS is the gold standard of medical coding credentials, because it says you've mastered inpatient coding and outpatient coding. And then there's the CCA, the Certified Coding Associate, that says you have entry level inpatient and outpatient coding knowledge. And with these, either one of these two, you can go anywhere. And you do not have to have experience to take either one of these. Now, the CCS, it says, is recommended, but recommended does not mean required. And plenty of people who have followed my Independent Study Syllabus and who have followed my advice on this channel have also said, Blue, I didn't have any background and I was able to pass the CCS. So it's not easy, but they're putting in the work and they do put in the time. So there's a difference there. Okay, if you got the time, you got those 20 hours per week, and yes, you can do that. I've done a video about how to break it down and make it easy for yourself. You can do it, okay? If this is truly what you want to do and you want to be prepared and you want to be able to pass these certifications, you will make the time to do it. There's also the CCSP, the Certified Coding Specialist, physician-based. That's all outpatient coding. And that is a fantastic credential to start with too, if you want to start with that, because if you didn't really like inpatient coding, and you can go through my videos to know what the difference is, but it's a fantastic credential. I currently hold the CCSP and the CCS, okay? And then these three are with the American Health Information Management Association. You can go online and Google them, or you can go to AHIMA.org, and you can be able to find out all about these three medical coding certifications. Then there's the American Academy of Professional Coders, and they have their flagship credential, the CPC, the Certified Professional Coder. That's all outpatient as well. So you have a choice of the association that you go through. And there's a difference. There'll be a cost difference. With AHIMA, those first three I told y'all about, if you have one medical coding certification, which I recommend for all brand new medical coders, is you only have one. You need to pick one of these four. And if you are certified CCS, CCA, or CCSP, you will have a 20 CEU requirement, continuing education units. And you have to get these within 2 years, so it's totally doable, right? Once you get your certification, you cannot get your CEUs before you get certified because they will not count. But if you get them after, then of course it does count. You have 2 years to get these. It's very easy to get them. And they go over the topics that, that are relevant to coders, or if you're pursuing like an additional anatomy course and that, the CEUs are approved with AHIMA, you're able to rack up CEUs that way as well. And it's 20 CEUs for just one of these three medical coding certifications, okay? If you get more, that number goes up, but it's 20 to start, okay? But if you have the CPC and you're with AAPC, it is 36 for just one credential, right? There's a difference there. And it doesn't mean that one is better than the other. It's just because AAPC is a for-profit organization and AHIMA is a nonprofit organization. So already their business models are going to be a little bit different. And so that's why there's a difference in the CEU counts, right? And not only that, with AAPC, you do have to maintain your membership every single year. It is currently $222 per year to maintain your membership. With AHIMA, it is a choice. You have a choice to be a member or to not be a member. So because of that, if you want to not get the membership because you can't afford it for a year or whatever, and you need time to save, that is totally fine. You can do that. But that's just one of the things about AHIMA that's so great. I love AHIMA, and I will always be with AHIMA. So, but you have a choice there, okay? One certification exam is not easier than the other, because you'll hear that misconception as well. Oh, the CPC is so easy. I've had nurses who have failed the CPC multiple times, and then they come to me and they're just like, Blue, I don't know what to do. I need to hire you for tutoring. So we get together, we do our tutoring, we make a plan, and they're able to take their certification exam, and a lot of times with favorable results, because I can isolate what the problem is. And a lot of times it's just lack of study, lack of understanding. And if you go through a fast-paced program, you find yourself caught up in one of those, and you're like, oh my gosh, I don't know if I can do this. Sometimes you just need somebody to explain things to you. So what I would recommend is that you go on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is a great place to connect with other coders, okay? But you got to be careful who you listen to, okay? You still need to take the information. You still need to make sure that you're verifying, and that you're not going to be one of these people who's writing me saying these things. Oh, I heard. Because I told the fella who said that to me, I said, all of that is on my channel. I said, please watch my channel, because I've got all that information there. And he took it like I'm telling him, about being a coder. No, I've talked about whether the field is in demand or not, or whether it's oversaturated or not, okay? I've already talked about all that. He's like, well, sorry to bother you. I don't like that. I don't like that little self-pity attitude either, because I'm going to tell you directly that it's literally on my channel. I've addressed this on my channel, okay? And so again, when you are going through this process and you're listening to these other people. And that was one thing I said, is stop listening to people who clearly don't know about our field. Because sometimes people will say things because either they can't pass their test, or they're trying to sell a product, or they're trying to say and scare all these people. And sometimes it's people that are not even in the industry at all. And it could be somebody that's like your relative, or maybe your spouse or your boyfriend or your girlfriend, and they don't want you to pursue this because of their own personal reasons. Okay, there's also that as well. So again, this is something that you have to decide for yourself. And you have to, if you ask for advice, then you need to do your research. You don't need to ask for advice and then go ask somebody like me, who's been in the field, who already has a channel with all of this information on it, and asking me the same thing where I've already addressed it, because it would be much easier for you to go through and look at that. Okay, look at any of those videos to help you. All right, because that's what I'm about. But I'm also about teaching y'all that, have you ever heard the expression, if you give a man a fish, or you give a person a fish, I don't know, guys, this is the way this expression goes. If you give a man a fish, you feed him for a day. If you teach a man to fish, you feed him for a lifetime. Okay, you can insert person, human, whatever into that. Okay, you feed him for a lifetime. That's what I'm trying to do for y'all. Okay, I don't think that it's necessary to hand feed everybody everything every single time. I do leave links in the description box. I have laid out like all of these tips and everything before too as well. I used to have the Independent Study Syllabus like actually written out, but because I got so much negative people, I mean just complaining for no reason for a free resource, I took down the actual written out copy. I am working on an updated version. I just need to find a couple more books that I want to add to it, so that you have a complete and comprehensive list, and then it will be out for purchase. But I did leave the video up, so you could watch the video and just write down all the steps and all the things that I recommend, because again, I've gone through it several times, and so people have used that to help them to study. Okay, so that's just what I want to say there. I do have some of the other things like the evaluation and management. If you are wanting to learn that, I did come up with a study guide. Okay, the study guide is a 3-page study guide that will take you 12 weeks to go through the Optum Evaluation and Management Coding Advisor book. You have to purchase that Optum Evaluation and Management Coding Advisor book. I do have the link in the description box below. I don't get anything for it. If you go to Optum and order it from there, I'm not affiliated, I'm not like an affiliated seller or anything like that. But you can look on Amazon if you want to for it, but you have to get that book in order to use the companion, okay? Because the book does not come with a companion guide, okay? And the companion guide is just a companion guide. It is a 3-page document. That evaluation and management study guide does not come with one-on-one time with me. It does not come with a class. It does not come with any of that stuff. It is literally just you in this document reading and following the document. And I made it and I broke it down as simple as possible, so that way you guys can get an entry-level basic understanding, because there's lots of people who are afraid of evaluation and management. It may be something that you've heard as you're doing your research into this career field. It is not as bad as people make it out to be. It is literally just understanding the table of risk. It is understanding the purpose of evaluation and management, which is to ensure that the provider gets paid for their cognitive work that they're doing. Okay, and there's rules of when certain levels apply, and so on and so forth. So there's lots of things to learn. Okay, it's going to be a learning time. That's all. Okay, but if you're going to pursue this, it's going to take patience. It's going to take patience. You're going to feel like an imposter. There's going to be like, oh my gosh, I don't deserve this. I don't deserve to be here learning all of this because I don't know any of this. It's just going to take some time to learn. You're not going to learn it overnight. It's going to take repetition, repetition, repetition. But if you've got 9 months, 12 months, or 18 months, you've got a good time to learn this. Don't worry about, can I find a job if you're still in school? can I find a job? And you're studying for the exam. You don't need to worry about that. Don't worry about that right now. Because yes, you will be able to find a job. People who complain about not being able to find a job are the same people who have a terrible resume. I've talked about resume several times, given plenty of free tips that have helped people. Okay, I give this information freely, and I write resumes. Does it make sense, right? Oh, you write resumes, and why would you get all this information for me? Because you can write this stuff. It is a luxury to have somebody else write it for you. And because I know that not everybody can afford that, it's okay. That's why I have the information for free. And there's plenty of it on my channel, okay? So that's why I'm telling you guys. I'm going to keep reiterating it. You've got to look at the description box. You've got to go through the videos so that way you can find it. And if all else fails and you don't want to go through the videos, you can actually go to Google, the Google machine, and you can type in medical coding with blue resume tips. My videos will pop right up. Medical coding with blue interview tips. Another video will pop up. Trust me, all the videos that you could ever want. Medical coding with blue self-study tips. There you go. And all this independent study syllabus. Boom. You'll see all the videos pop up. All you have to do is put in medical coding with blue. And then you put whatever topic you want, and you'll see it there. Okay, so that's just what I will say there. I take this field very seriously. I take it very seriously. And I just wish that people would do their research, and I just wish that, people understood that it's time. It's the time that gets people. And I have clients, I have my own things that I have to do, and that takes my time. And I'm happy to do it. But all of this stuff takes time. YouTube, Patreon, all of that, it takes me. I don't have an assistant to help me. I am doing it all by myself. So again, before you send any questions, make sure that you're going through the videos, okay? And I'm telling you, when I tell you directly, stop listening to people who don't know. If somebody's telling you something about medical billing and coding and it's negative or whatever, are they a coder? Oh, the industry is too saturated. Trust me, there's plenty of people who have the attention span and the patience of a horsefly, and they will not stick around long. So if they're not able to get a job in like 5 days, oh, I give up. When knowing it takes a while sometimes, and especially if you're not getting that resume right, it will take you even longer. Okay? It will take you even longer. But this field is not going anywhere. And the reason that you know that it's not going anywhere is because when you look at the job listings, you'll see coders, right? Health information technicians. Sometimes it'll say revenue cycle technicians. We are called all different kinds of names. So if you say, well, there's none in my area, that's a lie. Because they're under different names. You just have to look. Okay? There would not be as many medical coding programs out there if this field was going anywhere. And case in point, do you see any programs for transcription? No. Why? Because transcription, that is something that it's still around, but it did go away. It's not as like you have to go to school for it like before, right? For medical transcription, they don't have those programs anymore, but they still have transcriptionists out there, right? But it's no longer around. That's not the same thing for medical coding. This is something completely different, okay? And again, if you're worried about AI, don't, because AI is too dumb that it can't critical think. I'm just saying. And once it does, which will be eons from now, think about how expensive that will be. I'm just saying. So with that said, if you are planning on pursuing this career field, know this. 17 years ago when I got my certification, they were saying the same thing. Oh, it's going to go away. It's going to go overseas. I am still here 17 years later. I'm just saying. So with that said, I'm going to wrap this one up. Thank you guys so much for joining me. If this video helped you, please like, subscribe, and share. And I'll see y'all next time. Bye.